Hello friends, good evening. This is Bhupati. It's been quite long time since I uploaded video. Sorry for this long gap as I had engaged in some personal work. Okay, now we will see part 10 of Linq series, that is how can we extract the data using multiple filter. Now I will go to the studio. Okay, now I will open the invoice data Excel sheet and show what we are going to filter. So we have 5 columns: invoice number, key number, invoice quantity, total units. Now I want to filter hardware management having units equal to 25. Okay, I will just put some other rename some other invoice quantity as hardware management. Okay, now I want to filter in this Excel sheet invoice quantity having hardware management and units having 25. Let us check manually how many data are there. Okay, totally 3 rows are there, hardware management having the units value 25. Now in traditional way, how we will extract this data means either we can simply use the filter data table or read the data table, and we can use the for each row, all those things. Now we are going to see how can we extract the data using Linq. Okay, now I will close this Excel sheet. So I need to use the read range. System invoice data.xlx. I'll delete this right range. I need to name this data table variable name. So Control K is a shortcut to set the variable name, dt underscore invoice data. Okay, already it is exist, so I will just use the same dt invoice data. So step 1, we are reading the data table. Now next step is we need to filter. So instead of using for each row or filter data table, we are going to complete this task in one assign activity. I will create one more data table variable, dt underscore temp. So in this temp data table only we are going to extract the data. Okay, the required data. We can use the same data table, that is dt invoice underscore invoice data, and assign the result, but the best practice is the original source should not be altered for any other reason. So I will use one temp data table variable, dt underscore temp. Now we are going to write the query and maximize. So it's very simple. First thing is from which data source we are going to extract the data, dt underscore invoice data dot, we need to make it as enumerable. I request you to watch my earlier videos. I have explained about why we are using this as enumerable, because then only we will have access to all the Linq functions. Now I use where function of. Now I will use the variable name. I will use just f. So this is just a variable, it can be anything, it can be of a or row, anything. So now what we are going to extract, invoice quantity and then units. F of column name is invoice quantity dot equals hardware management. Okay, and what is another condition? Just when you use the multiple filter, just use and or based on your need and use the another condition. So another condition is f of units. This f is a range variable. Units dot equals 25. Okay, now I am copying this result into a data table, so I will use dot copy to data table. So this is our query. I will make it as little bit large so you can see. I will zoom it and show you. So what we are taking, just we are taking the entire data and then we are applying this filter, that is the in the data table invoice quantity column contains hardware management and the unit columns equals 25, the value 25, and we are copying the result into a data table, that is it will get assigned to dt underscore temp. Okay, now we need to check the result and use the output data table. Just it is to display the message box. dt temp is our input, text is string, output data. Now I will use message box, output string, output data. Okay, now I'll just cross check the column name once. So what we have used here, invoice quantity units. Let me cross check that one. Invoice quantity, okay, units. So what should be our result? Hardware. Okay, we should get these 3 rows. Okay, so hardware space management is there. Now I will run and will check the output. Source contains no data rows. Okay, let me check any spelling mistakes there. So we didn't get the expected result. The reason is there is space in the column invoice quantity. You can see for each value it is not trimmed at the end of the value hardware management, there is space. So our query did not return any result because we have used equals in the query. You can see equals. Okay, but if you put contains, it will return the result, but the spaces at the end will not be trimmed. So what we are going to do means I am going to write another Linq query to trim all the spaces in the end in all the columns. Okay, now let us see how can we do that. I will close. Now what I am going to do means I am going to use multiple assign because we need to assign activities. In the first assign I am going to use dt invoice data new. This is a new data table variable I am going to declare, and I will clone the actual data we read for using this read range is invoice data dot clone. You know why I am doing this in this next step. So in this invoice data new we are going to trim all the spaces and save the data. Okay, now here dt invoice data new. Here only we are going to write our Linq query. So what we are going to do now, we need to trim all the spaces in all the row objects for particular single row. Now I am going to use query syntax from or in dt invoice data as enumerable first step. Next I am going to use the let operator. Using this let operator we will be able to create a variable. It will hold the result of the query we write. Now r dot item array. So this item array will contain all the row objects of one particular single row. So I need to select again another range variable. I will use r1 dot toString dot trim. Okay, so now this array will be collected in this variable input array. Now we have already created a very empty data table. Select dt invoice data new dot rows dot add. Now we will add this input array variable and we copy to data table. Okay, so this is not required. So we are done. What we have completed is we just declared one new data table variable, that dt underscore invoice data new. I have cloned this with the actual data table because I want to hold the result of the trimmed data into the new data table variable. Now I have written the query. Again I will show you. I will zoom it and show it to you. Okay, so what we have written, just we are trimming all the spaces of the particular value and then saving that value in this input array variable, and in the new data table variable we are adding that input array. Okay, finally we are copying the result to the data table. Now our query will work. So another temp data table to hold the result. You can check I have not done anything. Only modified thing is here I have used invoice data new data table because here only we have the values trimmed at the end. Now I will run this. You can see the query will return the three rows which is having the units 25. I will run. Okay, you can see invoice quantity having the value hardware management, it is trimmed at the end and the unit is 25. So this is the same three rows we have in our invoice data Excel. Now let us check it out. Invoice data, Control Shift L. So 25 we have only 3 rows with invoice quantity equal to hardware management and units is 25. In the next video we will see with some other Linq query. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe and support our channel. Thank you friends.